Hey, Salvador Briggman here, and we talk about a lot of strategy and tactics on this particular YouTube channel, the Crowdfunding Demystified channel. But today I want to talk a little bit about more psychology as a business owner, and specifically, how do you accomplish the things that you say you're going to do? How do you structure your launch going into a crowdfunding campaign or any other type of product launch? And really, what is the psychology that you should have in order to maximize your effectiveness, to make sure that you're being really effective, particularly if you're working a job or you have something else you're doing, you only have a little bit of time to spend on your project every single day. That is what I'm covering in this video. Okay, so the way that I like to think about this is I like to take this really powerful thing that we have between our ears and to use that to analyze problems in our life. So a lot of times we'll talk about, doing something like launching a business, right? And that's a very common problem. There's a very common solution that already exists, and there are ways of validating customers and doing marketing and figuring out inventory and pricing, and all these kinds of things have solutions to them. And the same thing is true of other areas in our life, right? So if we emotionally have a difficulty or we feel fear about launching something new or being so public or uncertainty, but there are answers to these questions as well. And the way that I like to think about it is when you're preparing for a launch or you want to come out with a new product, you want to start a business, the most helpful thing you can do is to label the emotions that you are feeling and the sort of sentiments that you're having about this particular product or about the launch. And what that allows you to do is allows you to approach this thing much more scientifically and much more rationally than if you were to just kind of let your emotions be taken to you in a few different avenues. And when that happens, usually with my coaching students, they focus on things they shouldn't be focused on. They're procrastinating doing work when they're doing other work, right? So they should be doing something really hard and effective, but instead they're doing social media, right? Or they should be focused on this particular KPI and they're focused on something else. So it really helps with focus. It really helps with understanding what's holding you back and also some of the obstacles that you need to confront and push past in order to get to the promised land and to get to a point where you're really happy with the outcome for your Kickstarter campaign or this business that you are launching. So what are some of the common emotions that a lot of my coaching students, a lot of business owners feel leading up to the launch of a campaign? The first is uncertainty, right? One of the common questions I'll ask a lot of people is, what are you uncertain about? And to not just think uncertainty is something that I'm feeling personally. Everyone feels uncertainty. It's a normal thing to feel uncertain about a new product which you're launching. What you want to do is you want to get out a piece of paper and you want to write down, what are the things that I am uncertain about? Why am I uncertain about those things? So let's just say, for example, that we're talking on a coaching call and you're like, dude, I am uncertain about the fact that I don't know how to build a crowd. I don't know how to do the pre-launch. I don't know how to build an audience, right? That's one label. So you'd say, I am uncertain about the pre-launch, or I am uncertain about how to drive traffic, or I'm uncertain about this. And why? Because I've never done it before maybe, or because I don't know how to position this particular product, or I don't know how to word the promise or the end benefit to the user. I'm really good on the engineering side, but I don't know really how to put it into common language, right? So when you get a little bit more focused on what's holding you back, if that is uncertainty, you can then find ways and solutions to deal with that. So maybe one solution would be you need to watch more videos on the pre-launch if you want to do it yourself. If the reason you're uncertain is I don't want to do it myself, maybe then you need to hire out and hire someone else to do the pre-launch for you, right? You can then start to get a little bit better about coming up with the solutions to this emotion that you're feeling, the emotion of uncertainty. What's another example of an emotion? Another one could be fear, right? I feel a lot of fear, man. I'm worried about this. I don't know how it's going to go. So there's a little bit of uncertainty, a little bit of fear. If we dig a little bit deeper into the fear, why are you afraid? I'm afraid that if I do this Kickstarter, what if I end up in the red? What if for some reason the thing isn't profitable, right? I don't generate enough sales in order to cover my expenses. I'm afraid of this particular outcome and I'm thinking about this future outcome and I'm worried about it. I'm thinking about it. All of worry is based in fear, right? So if you're thinking about something in the future and you're afraid of that outcome, you then begin to feel worried. More and more you become to feel worried. And there's an answer, there's a solution to that. So for this example, the solution would be, let's break out the Excel spreadsheet, either yourself or working with someone like me, and let's really dive into the numbers. What is the product going to cost? What is the shipping going to be, right? What is it going to be in terms of the profit margin? If we're offering early bird reward tiers, how much money are you going to have at the end of the day? Let's build a few different case scenarios. So let's just say you hit 100K versus 500K versus $1 million, right? It obviously depends on the type of product you're trying to raise money for, but you can nail down and get a much more certain about those particular outcomes, and then you can see visibly on the page, oh look, I'm not going to end up in the red. There's no scenario where I will based on these numbers. Okay, I feel a little bit more comfortable. I don't feel as fearful. Now I'm gonna plow ahead, I'm gonna push ahead, and I'm really gonna put everything into launching this new product. This YouTube video is sponsored by The Gadget Flow. The Gadget Flow reaches over 28 million people, and they've been around since 2012. They're Indiegogo and Kickstarter experts. They featured over 5,000 crowdfunding campaigns. If you have a tech or design campaign, it is a great platform to generate awareness and get backers. Check them out at thegadgetflow.com/submit and list your project today. So when you understand what is causing that emotion of fear, and it could be multiple things, and then you can begin to actually solve those micro problems that are contributing to that emotion, which is fear. Another fear-based emotion could be, what happens if I launch this and no one backs it? Everyone is gonna think that I'm stupid. Everyone's gonna think that all the stuff that I was talking about is just dreamer. I'm just a visionary, but I can't execute. The people who know me and like me and trust me, my friends, my family, my business co-workers, they're gonna think that I'm not really serious about this, and it's gonna make me feel bad. I'm gonna feel guilty. I'm gonna feel like I was stupid, right? That's another example of fear. And one of the things that goes into that is you're imagining, again, a future scenario. You're imagining something that could happen to you in the future. And because of that possibility, it's causing you in the present moment to feel fear, and thus you're limiting yourself. You're not fully committed to this project that you're doing. You can then go in a coaching call, you can be like, okay, dude, what are some of the ways we can mitigate the potential risk for this project? Well, number one, we can do a pre-launch. We can build up social media following. We can build up an email list, and we can run down the numbers. I can share with you my own data in terms of the percentage of a list that converts, the way that it went about being gathered, the appetite for the product. We can do some testing if we want to, etc. And we can get into this and we can say, look, if we are able to hit this KPI, meaning a key performance indicator, if we're able to hit this KPI of getting this many emails, of getting this amount of social media attention, of getting this level of enthusiasm, doing surveys to the users, it's virtually guaranteed that you're going to have buyers on the first day. And these are the different use scenarios likely that we can see: worst case, average case, best case scenario on your Kickstarter launch. And then you can start to see that and you're like, oh, okay, so now I know that I'm not going to just have a flop. I'm going to get at least some amount of money. The question is, where is it on the scale of worst case, normal case, and best case, right? So what I like to do is I like to kind of probe and understand what are some of the things you're thinking about that contribute to this unproductive emotion that you're having and that's holding you back. Because let's be honest, when you feel fear, how do you usually feel? You usually feel like you're afraid of doing something and you're not taking action. When you're afraid, you don't go up and talk to the person at the networking event. You're staying stationary. Fear has like a freezing effect where we don't want to risk and we don't want to do things, and we're not all in. We're not really committed. It's not very freeing. It's the opposite of freeing. You almost feel trapped to a certain degree, and you're so worried about taking the wrong action because of all these mental movies that you're having in your head that it bogs down your entire life, and you start to even get depressed. You start to take less and less action, and it's the worst thing going into a product launch.